Well, howdy, everybody. Welcome back to Social Media Success for Professionals. I'm your host, Heather Holloway. And boy, we got a good one for you because I know you're sitting out there thinking, I don't know how to write copy, or the copy that I'm writing isn't bringing people in. Well, I have the expert, Kim Kiel, the one, the only, from kimkiel.com, here to teach us the 5 top tips to make your company more readable. But before we get into it, Kim, thank you so much for joining me today.
Hey, Heather, thank you so much for having me. I know we have something in common, which is that we both have the same, I'm KK, you're HH. So we're like
Hey.
connecting in the marketing world as well as in our names. So
I
thank you so
love it.
much.
K-dubs, H-dubs, here we
Yeah.
go. So K-dubs, tell me, what do you do for the people out there?
I love writing copy. I love helping people connect better with their audiences. And I specialize in sales copy. So I help people write in a way that sells their brilliance, their genius, attracts the right clients, and creates just a really beautiful connection and relationship, because most sales are really founded on building that relationship.
Absolutely. And so if you can, you look, we're using social media these days, we're online, right? We use words all the time.
All
We
the
write
time.
so many words. So it's really good for us to learn how to do that in a persuasive manner, right? For somebody to take action. But how did you get here? Like, you didn't become, K-dubs, replacing your full-time income to writing full-time.
Yeah.
You didn't just do that overnight. Tell us how you got there.
Oh, thanks. I started out in, get this, I have a Bachelor of Science degree in environmental science
Oh, wow.
with a minor in communication. So communication has always been the thread. And, back when I was in university, I felt the only way we could solve our environmental problems was through communication. Over the years, I was in frontline communications, helping people understand what are the problems, how to solve the problems. Eventually, I moved into fundraising because I worked a lot in charity. And in fundraising, I learned all of these practices to get somebody to open their wallet, to make a donation. And I learned this term called direct response, which is the art and practice of writing in a way that gets somebody to make a response to your copy or to take action.
Yeah, and I just want to pause right there because I want you to listen and listen good or well. I don't know. I'm talking to a copywriter, so
Listen in.
Listen in. If it's not on Grammarly, I'm a little. But listen, she just mentioned direct response. Kids, look that word up. That is when you take your posts and you profit. So please, direct response. Keep going.
So I was working this day job in fundraising, but I had 2 little kids at home and I couldn't manage the constant rush to get people to childcare, get people to school, get myself to work and back. And I was late for everything. And it was a mess. I was a mess. And at that time, I discovered this whole world of online business. And through that sort of deep dive in the Google rabbit holes, I discovered the practice and profession of copywriting. And I realized, even though I've never called myself a copywriter, that's actually what I've been doing for the last 12 years.
Yeah.
And, as we all do, I started my own job, quit my day job, and over the last couple of years have been able to replace my annual salary. And my annual salary has now become my monthly salary. So it was a really good move. And I'm working with clients that I genuinely love. They are making an impact in the world. They are changing people's lives. And while I get to support them with copy or strategy or copy coaching, I know that I'm helping to support that kind of impact that's going out into the world. That's really is priceless.
I love that. That's a compound effect, is we're able to then give our expertise, the things that we've been diving deep on over the last few years, share the wealth, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. So for today, that's a perfect setup. Listen in. This woman has taken her annual salary and made that her monthly salary by crafting creative content. So today, 5 top tips to make your copy more readable. Teach us, coach, teach us.
Okay, listen up here, people. So I'm actually going to borrow from another popular copywriting trainer named Bob Lai. He created something called the 4 C's of copywriting, and I'm adding a 5th C. So the first C, when you're sitting down to write copy or when you're reviewing something you've written, you want to ask yourself, is this clear? Do I know what I'm actually selling here? Like so often when we sit down, we're like, I don't know what I'm actually selling. You want to be very clear about what you're writing about, what the purpose is, and to whom you are writing. Have in mind your ideal customer. Make sure you know who your ideal customer is and write clearly to them. Now, the second part of being clear in your copy is avoiding what I like to call like industry jargon or coach terms, or, if you're in finance or law, I'd be using like super jargony terms that the average person doesn't know what it is. Those people just want, I want to protect myself. I want to protect my legacy. Use the terms that they're using. Be very clear in the words that you're using and don't try to be too academic. I
love that. We work with lawyers, we work with doctors. And so, as I'm trying to attract more of the same, I better not use words like agency, business, or company. Rather, I'm using firm or practice, right? So it's finessing. You can have evergreen content, but you have to finesse it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And being clear about what those words that they use are and infusing that into your copy.
So that's the first C, clear.
The first year. Be clear, avoid being clever. That's actually like one of the best adages in copywriting. The second C is to be concise. Even though a lot of us think we are terrible writers, we actually probably write too much. And people, I know you talk about this a lot, Heather, but to write sort of shorter content or write and then go back and edit out all these extra words, see if you can shorten your copy into a more concise message. So just be really clear. Often I find when I'm reviewing copy for my clients, they'll have an email and they'll be talking about so many different things. And I'll say, you know what? This is actually 3 emails. So suddenly this one email, you can just now split it into 3. And now there's 3 weeks worth of content instead of just 1. So you want to just make sure you're very concise in your messaging.
I love that so much for so many reasons. One being efficiency and getting time back in my day. So like taking that longer form and splitting it out. Holy smokes. Now you have, like you said, 3 posts in 1. Fantastic.
Yeah. The third C is credibility, especially when you're writing sales copy. And this happens also in like social media copy where you want somebody to take an action. You want to provide a little bit of proof that you are who you say you are. You have the expertise that you have. So in your copy, make sure you're infusing customer reviews, especially if you have like a Google site or you have you're collecting Google reviews. You can take screenshots of those and share them in a carousel post on social media. You could infuse a customer story. Say somebody came and sat in your chair and they had this aha, or you delivered an incredible service. Share that story because it builds your credibility, gives me trust to know that I'm ready to invest in you. So if you're writing a sales message, make sure you have some of that credibility baked in. And it could be in the form of numbers and data. You could say, hey, I've been writing copy for 12 years. That was how I dropped in a little bit of credibility there. So you can see how you can weave it into your messaging.
Love that. I love that so much. Yeah. I mean, social proof, right? Like we purchase with our eyes, and listen, when we're out there, people are buying us, not our brand. As coaches, consultants, lawyers, doctors, it is us at Holloway Media Services. It is Heather Holloway. So you've got to share that proof that it is, this is the person you're going to deal with. These are the things that you can expect while working with me. I love that so much.
The fourth C stands for compelling. So we've got clarity, concise, credibility, and now we're on to compelling. You want to write in a compelling way. Now, I'm going to say something that maybe some of your listeners might not really like, but I have to say a lot of professional services tend to write very boring copy. And we have this belief that we have to sound professional. We have to be very businessy and buttoned up. And to your point that you just made, Heather, like we are humans buying from other humans. So like unbutton that top button a little bit and don't be afraid to let your personality shine. So some easy ways that you can write compelling copy is through telling stories. It's through dropping in a fun GIF into your email that maybe can help bring your story to life. Use funny isms or references. So I'm a big Beastie Boys fan. I often in my copy will be dropping little Beastie Boys nuggets in there, like little references. I also love cooking, so a lot of my references have to do with food. Say you love like sports, you could drop in references to sports or a type of music. If you're like a country music fan, look at ways that you can just infuse that into your copy and to bring your personality onto the page. Again, because humans are buying from you, you want to connect with them and you want to make sure that they want to open and read your emails. So make them just a little bit more lively and interesting.
Yeah, I love that you say that because I was in the beginning when I was creating content, it was so cookie cutter, right? I was seeing what other agencies are doing and look, most marketers get it wrong. Most marketers get copywriting wrong. Most marketers get marketing wrong. So if I'm looking at somebody's doing it wrong, what am I going to do? Not so good, right? But until I changed to telling stories, the moment, Kim, the first email I sent that shared a story, it was with me and Miranda Lambert. I booked 3 perfect fit clients, and I think I grossed over 15K. One email, and all I did was share a story. I mean, not all I did. I led them down a path, right?
Right. Yeah. You had credibility. You were concise. You were compelling, and you had an action that you wanted people to take.
Match the 4 C's with a CTA. Now, number 5.
Number 5 is the one that I'm adding, and I think it is missing from so much marketing. So Bill Bly has those first 4 C's. And also, I just want to back up. You just said it there, the CTA, that's also part of compelling. You want to compel somebody to take the action. So make sure you include that next step. But the 5th C that I see missing from so much copy is compassion. And this is an element of empathy that I feel is really missing, especially in sales copy. It's not baked into our sales processes. It's a level of kindness and caring and compassion that if we infuse it into our copy will help connect our people. We have to appreciate where people are coming from when they're reading our stuff. If I have a toothache and I'm going to be Googling like dentists near me, if I find a dentist's webpage that is going to say something along the lines of, hey, even if you're scared about going to the dentist, we have all of these strategies to help you feel comfortable when you're in our chair. When you're selling something, it's about giving people more time to make a decision, especially if it's a big investment. More in like the coaching space, which is where I tend to work. People are selling these tremendous coaching packages that cost 5 figures, 4 figures, even 6 figures sometimes. And you can't expect somebody to make a decision, a 5-figure decision on a webinar. You need to give people a chance to really understand this is the level of investment and I need a few days to make that decision. Sometimes it's a few months to make that decision, but you want people to enroll themselves in working with you. You don't want to pressure people. You don't want to use clickbait. You don't want to use like timers and other things that force people to make a decision when they're not ready. Now, deadline timers are fine if it's really a limited time offer, if it's a low ticket, like $20 offer. But if you're having a countdown timer on something that's $10,000, you're triggering someone to make a decision that may not be the best one for them. So I just really want to add in that level of compassion and care in all of our relationships and especially those sales moments.
Yeah, I love that so much because I try to impart on our clients and folks listening to that you gain with gratitude, and compassion and empathy. So we have a system, it's called Scope. and it's our social media marketing system for professionals. And the last part of that, SCOPE, engage.
Mhm.
I also would maybe add empathy onto that,
Yes, yeah.
and energy, because the same way that you write copy, compassionate copy for your web, you can also write compassionate copy or gratitude when people are engaging and commenting on your posts. So have some kind things to say back to them. Have some, if they're asking questions, make sure that you're just guiding them and sort of just being their friend, their guide through the whole thing. I love that so much, Kim.
Yeah.
That's the secret sauce right there. Number
Mm.
5, compassion.
I think it is, yeah. And it helps you stand out in the marketplace, because if everyone else is responding to the DMs with like, are you ready? Are you ready? Do you want to
Yep.
jump in? Here's the link. Are you ready to buy? As opposed to, well, why don't you tell me what your biggest struggle is? Like, where are you wanting to grow your business, or where are you wanting to get your financial future to? Like
Yeah.
actually taking the time to get to know your audience and then showing them that compassion.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Do you find yourself with that last C? Are you reading books on psychology? Are you trying to find out patterns of why people act a certain way? Like, how can we inform a little more compassion?
A lot of the psychology books that I read are actually about, getting people to the sale. It's about
Mm,
buyer psychology.
yeah.
The empathy card, I think, is actually missing from a lot of our education systems today. Like, this is now we're going to get philosophical here.
Here we go.
But I think it is what's sort of a missing ingredient in general in our society or in our culture, and particularly in the Western North American culture, I would say.
Yeah.
I think it's just tapping back into the values you had when you were a kid and
Mm.
wanting to, my 11-year-old, he'll say, oh, yeah, I have all these friends. They're all my friends. Like, he views the world where everybody is his friend. And we could have all these very different sociopolitical paths, but he views everyone as his friend and he treats everyone as his friend.
Wow.
And I think when you sit down to write your copy, to think, keep that in mind. I am writing to my friend.
Yeah.
Whether it's a social post, whether it's your email newsletter, whether you're coming up with content for a YouTube channel,
Yeah.
you want to just imagine that you're talking to one friend. And how would you talk to that person? You wouldn't be like, hey there, here I am trying to sell you something. You'd be like, hey, this funny thing happened to me at the store the other day. Wait till you hear it. And then you'd go on.
That's right. You don't walk into a bar, see an attractive person and be like, do you want to get married? That
Yeah.
never in the history of ever happened. And if it did, it probably ended up as a rom-com or something. I don't even
Yeah,
know.
exactly.
That ain't
Yeah.
how it works. It
Mhm.
isn't how it works in the human communication
Mhm.
department. And it's not how it works, especially when you're trying to translate something through the written word. So, man, you gave us 5. Repeat them for us one more
Sure.
time. Give me the 5.
The 5 C's are clarity. Make sure you're being clear about your offer, what you're selling, but also clear about who you're talking to. Be concise. Don't talk about 3 things when you can just talk about one thing. You want to be compelling, write with a bit of personality, use some gifts in your communications, weave in stories. You want to have credibility, so drop in a few data points, show some customer reviews and testimonials and case stories. And the last C is compassion. Make sure you're sitting down and being compassionate with yourself as well as with your audience.
I love it. There you go. The 5 C's, and you will write all the way to the bank. Now, if people are sitting here wanting more from you, K Dubs, where can they go to find you?
H-dubs, they can head to 2 places. One, they can check out my podcast, which is Ill Communication. You'll find it on all the channels. You'll also find that on my website, which is www.kimkiel.com. And it's KIMKIEL.com. That's where you can connect with me. You can grab a freebie once you're there, the magnetic copy checklist.
Yes.
But in general, that's sort of the foundation for everything.
Yes. And before we go, let's talk about that freebie, the ultimate checklist for magnetic copy that attracts and sells. Tell us about it and how to get there.
So you can go to kimkiel.com/magnetic and download this free checklist. I think it's about 20 pages, but a lot of it is screenshots that show you before and after how to actually change your copy. And some of it is physical, like what kind of font are you using? How big are your margins? What kinds of images are you using?
Wow.
And others is giving you some other tips to infuse in your copy. So you could actually just download that resource, grab one tip, and you could immediately implement it.
Literally happening after this recording. I'm going to go do that. So make sure to grab the ultimate checklist for magnetic copy that attracts and sells. KimKiel.com/magnetic. Kim, this has been phenomenal. You gave us the 5 C's. I feel we write copy all day, every day, sis, but I feel stronger having had this conversation with you. So thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, your expertise, your compassion, and being very clear on your message.
Aw, thank you, Heather. Thanks for having me.
Cool. Thanks.
Are you looking for a surefire way to make your social media presence more engaging? Look no further, my friends. We have a free content calendar to plan your social posts for the rest of the year. Our calendar is a great way to plan ahead, so there's no guessing what to post next. These ideas help you share your personality to draw in your target audience. This is your opportunity to connect with your followers. So, don't wait any longer. Download the free content calendar today and start planning out your most successful social media strategy yet. Click the link in the show notes to download.
I'm Heather Holloway, and you've been listening to Social Media Success for Professionals. Thank you so much for being here. It means the world to me and my team. Hey, remember, check the show notes for resources and links to other episodes, and don't forget to hit that subscribe and follow button to be notified when new episodes are released.